If you enjoy surfing the internet, the waves are actually about to get very, very choppy because internet providers are trying to slow down what passes as broadband. We'll explain what's going on and what's being done about it right now in The Loop.
Do you feel like you're suffering from a slow internet? Well, the problem could soon get a lot worse. Earlier this week, our country's biggest internet service providers filed papers with the FCC on how to define broadband speeds in the hopes of lowering the minimum speed. This means that providers could offer broadband services far lower than the current required speeds, perhaps as low as 0.256 megabits per second. A low number for certain. And while U.S. speeds average at 9.6 megabits per second, we were ranked 19th in the world last year, trailing speeds of 80.8 to 92.8 megabits per second in Korea and Japan, respectively. Why are internet service providers trying to slow down the internet? And what's being done to stop it? Faster than a speeding bullet, it's The Loop.
All right, now before we begin, we want to mention that, of course, G4 is owned by Comcast, which is one of the internet providers that's involved with this whole story. But let's get into it now. Joining us from San Francisco to help us make sense of it all, writer for TechCrunch.com, MG Siegler is here. How are you, MG?
Hey, how you doing, Kevin? Doing
very well, thanks. This is an interesting story to me because this is obviously a time where people are streaming more and more content over the internet. Is that why they're trying to slow it down? Like, why exactly are these providers trying to lower the definition of what is broadband?
So basically, I mean, this all boils down to money. The Obama administration, and specifically the FCC under the Obama administration, is really placing an emphasis on trying to get broadband in more parts of the country that don't really have it right now, like urban areas and some of the far out reaches of the country. And so these companies want to basically define what broadband is, and they want to keep it very low, while some other groups want to obviously raise that up, because it's all about costs. And if they're able to, if some of these companies are able to keep it low, they're going to get some of the stimulus package, some of the billions of dollars, and able to put this internet in these different areas.
Okay, so this is just their end around then. This is their way of saying, okay, we have to bring broadband to the masses. If we define broadband as a tin can and a string or a squirrel carrying a piece of paper with ones and zeros, then all of a sudden we've provided broadband, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, are they trying to lower my internet speed, or are they trying to create a tiered system where people will pay premium prices for better broadband in the areas where it already exists?
You know, it's hard to say at this point. They're basically trying to do whatever is best for their bottom line. It honestly looks like, you know, they certainly are making billions of dollars in revenues every year, and if they wanted to, they could spend that on infrastructure. But they want to keep, you know, the bottom line as good as it looks for them.
Sure.
So that's how they're doing it.
Well, MG, I always hear, and maybe this is just it's too glossy, but I always hear that these companies could just flip a giant switch and all of a sudden we have hundreds of megs a second to the home. Is that not the case? Does the infrastructure exist that way?
Yeah, one of the problems with the United States is that it's so big compared to countries like Japan and places in Korea and stuff where everything is much more condensed. So just the landmass of the United States, it's going to be expensive to get that infrastructure all over the country. There are certainly some areas in some cities right now that can get very fast speeds, but it's going to cost these companies a lot of money to do it all over the country.
What could this country actually do? Let's say we woke up tomorrow, and maybe not across the entire country. The entire country maybe doesn't even have a demand for it. But in the major cities, in the areas where they have high-speed broadband, they want it to be faster. Let's say in Los Angeles, we had the internet as fast as Japan's. What could we potentially do with something like that?
I mean, that's what the Obama administration is kind of pushing for. They know that broadband speeds in places like schools and certainly now in all different areas of business are very important, and the sky's the limit in terms of innovation when you have these kind of speeds for it.
Now, a group called Free Press, they made a plea for a minimum speed of 5 megabits in both directions. Would you be happy if the FCC sided with them? Do we think that could happen, or are we going to end up somewhere in the middle?
I mean, certainly that would be nice, especially to get 5 megabits upstream, but you know, the companies like Verizon and Comcast are talking of fractions of just 1 megabit a second for this rule. So it's probably, you know, not going to get up as high as the Free Press would like it, but we'll see. You know, it should hopefully get higher than what Comcast and Verizon are hoping for.
Well, I hope people in rural areas can watch this interview online, let it buffer for 5-6 months, and then they can just watch it all in one sitting. Thanks, MG, for keeping us in the loop. We appreciate it.